Thank you for being here. Super happy to have you. The other day I saw you were composting. When you're living in the city, you're like, okay, that's for people who have houses and yards, but you can actually do that.
You can, and there's lots of urban farming on the rise where there's community gardens and rooftop farms, and so there's plenty of places to share it.
Yeah, good.
Because food waste is one of the biggest contributors to climate change. If it were a country, it would be the third largest emitter of greenhouse gases after the US and China.
Wow.
And we waste 40% of our food, basically the amount of food that would have to be grown in the entire landmass of China.
So we all have a responsibility to cut down on that gas.
Because it goes into landfills and off gases methane, and it drives climate change.
Yeah, but I didn't know that stat. And I'm pretty ingrained in the wellness world. So I can only imagine how all the people out there who are just trying to make heads or tails of all this stuff, it's like a tidal wave of information. And so that's why we're training health coaches. What do you think the health coach's role in this is?
Well, I think, we are facing a real epidemic of chronic illness. 1 in 2 Americans has a chronic disease. Every other person in America has prediabetes or type 2 diabetes. It's not being solved in the doctor's office, at the clinic, or in the hospital.
Right.
We're managing symptoms, basically mopping up the floor while the sink's overflowing.
Right.
And community health workers historically have been very effective around the world in helping to manage all sorts of real serious problems, like Paul Farmer did in Haiti with TB and AIDS. He was able to solve that problem, which everybody had given up on, using the power of community health workers. Wow. And I think health coaches are the modern community health workers. And we should have millions of them around the country deployed in communities, in grocery stores, in hospitals, in clinics, churches and schools and workplaces that help people learn how to change their lifestyle to actually do the right things that create health.
To be the guides.
Yeah.
We just talked to a woman from Peace Health, which is a health system that's really embracing health coaching. And it's really good to see that some major health organizations are actually going after it.
Well, at Cleveland Clinic, we have health coaches in our department, and they're mandatory. Every patient sees a health coach at their initial visit, along with a nutritionist, because we believe that in order to address the burden of chronic disease, we have to have a team, and health coach is a critical part of that team.
Yeah, it takes a village. It takes a village. So I first came across your work when I was sick myself, and we were trying to figure out if it was Lyme's disease, whatever it was. My legs stopped working. And it eventually led to a wheelchair. We figured out what it was. It was some lesions or tumors on my spinal cord, and I came back from it. I walk from with a limp today, but in particular, I came across you because sugar was really creating havoc in my body, inflammation. So how do you feel about sugar now in regard to, should we do artificial sweeteners, sugar, coconut oil? What is it? What's happening?
Coconut oil isn't sugar, but
all right.
Sugar is a recreational drug, right? It like anything else, it can be enjoyed.
Yeah.
But it needs to be seen as a drug. Yet we consume 152 pounds per person. That's average. So many consume a lot more. The average American consumes a gallon of soda a week.
Oh my God.
And I think it's clear from the science that it's the biggest driver of weight gain, diabetes, heart disease, cancer, and even dementia, which is now being called type 3 diabetes. It's linked to depression and many other things. And it drives inflammation in the body. It drives the belly fat, which then screws up your hormones, increases cortisol, decreases testosterone, increases estrogens, leads to cancer. So it's a real serious problem because, for example, in school lunches, they restrict salt, they restrict saturated fat, they restrict all kinds of stuff. But sugar is a free-for-all,
right?
Which is kind of crazy because we now have 40% of our kids who are overweight, and behavioral issues are plaguing schools and teachers around the country, and it's in large part driven by our diet. So I think people need to understand that you can't have 22 teaspoons average of sugar a day, and it's hidden in everything. So it's not that necessarily the sugar that you're adding to your food, it's the sugar that's added to your food by corporations. Right? It's the hidden added sugars that are invisible, that are in everything.
So you have to search and see.
And often there's multiple names for sugar. So there may be 50 or 200 different names for sugar.
What are a couple names?
Oh, it could be called, brown rice syrup, or, sugar, or it could be called, some kind of starch. There's so many different names for it that are hidden. And I mean, just Google different names for sugar, and you'll
Yeah.
see the list of 250 names. And often, labeling laws require companies to put the most predominant ingredient first, and then in order of, the amount following. And what these companies do is they often put 5 or 6 different kinds of sugar, so it's listed not as the number one ingredient. But breakfast cereals are classically like that, and
Yes.
they basically have 75% of the product is sugar, which should be called
And
dessert.
we're feeding our kids.
Yeah.
Breakfast dessert.
Yeah, I mean, breakfast cereal is the biggest con job ever perpetuated on America.
That's something interesting. I'd like to delve into it another time because I love that statement.
Kellogg, it's
Cheerios is super healthy. You give your babies Cheerios. That's the con job.
No, con
right?
job. Yeah, well, that also is great because it contains glyphosate, which is great for them as well.
Sarcastic. Yeah. So cue sarcastic comment.
If it was actually listed on the label, it would be in a higher concentration than the vitamins in the Cheerios that are added.
It's outrageous. And we think that we're doing something super healthy for our kids, and we're not. We're duped.
I mean, just eat real food. It's so simple.
Eat real raw food.
It's food. I'm like, I often speak at churches and I joke and I say, listen, it's really easy to figure out what to eat. Did God make it or did man make it, right? Did God make a Twinkie? No. Did God make an avocado? Yes.
And in coaching, we talk about just get them to make a choice. So that seems like a pretty easy choice. Did God make this?
Yeah. Like pick up I was just reading the ingredients of Beyond Meat, which is this Beyond Burger, which is all the new craze, these highly processed industrial food products. And it has like 21 different ingredients. Extremely processed.
And this is what all the venture capital. This is what all our investment are going into to find a meat alternative when we already have one. It's called vegetables.
Yeah, and Impossible Foods, which Impossible Foods and Impossible Burger, that is GMO soy,
right?
Which is grown in ways that degrade the climate, destroy soil, contribute to glyphosate in our foods. In fact, the Impossible Burger has 11 times the amount of glyphosate as the Beyond Burger because the Beyond Burger is made from pea, which doesn't have as much glyphosate sprayed on it. But
that's good stuff.
Yeah.
Okay, if you were to give an IIN student just a piece of advice as they're going into working with clients in their professional career, do you have one? What would you say focus on, or here's where I would, one piece of advice?
I think it's really show, not tell. Show, not tell. Like, in other words, take them shopping. Go in the kitchen with them. Show them how to prepare a meal. Show them how to use a recipe. Right. Show them what's in their cupboard. Help them understand the how, not just the what.
And then go physically go with them. Yeah. Have your coaching session at Whole Foods.
Basically.
Yeah.
There's a grocery store in Cleveland called Hyman's, and they have embedded within the grocery store a health coach, a nutritionist.
I love that.
Yeah.
That's great. So what's happening next for you?
The thing I'm most excited about is a book I've written about the food system called Food Fix, How to Save Our Health, Our Economy, Our Communities, and Our Planet One Bite at a Time.
Wow.
About how food is the nexus where all of our world's global crises and the solutions exist. Food is the biggest driver of chronic disease. It's the biggest driver of burdens on economies.
Yep.
If Medicare were a country, it would be a company. It would be the biggest company in the world with $1 trillion budget.
Wow.
It's driving social injustice issues, and we talk about environmental racism. Melissa's food racism exists in the sense of food apartheid and heavy marketing to the poor and minorities.
Yep.
We're seeing it as food system is the #1 driver of climate change, more than fossil fuels. Because people don't understand that. They think, it's factory farm cows. Yes, they're about 14%, but when you add in destruction of rainforests, soil degradation, food waste, processing, transportation, et cetera, it all adds up to about 50% of climate change. And even if we stopped all fossil fuel emissions tomorrow, it's still not going to solve the problem. We have to figure out ways to draw down carbon out of the environment. And regenerative agriculture is one of the main ways we can do that. Up to 30% of the carbon that's emitted can be drawn down through that or more. And so addressing the environmental issues, the the climate issues, social justice issues, the economic healthcare issues. Those are really important. So I think the book attempts to lay that out and help define the problem, and then create a food fix, food prescription, in a sense, or what are the things that citizens can do, policymakers can do, businesses can do to change the course of things.
As health coaches, we need this information. And Mark, thank you so much for coming back here.
Sure.
Appreciate it.
Absolutely.
Hi, my name is Amy and I work on the education team here at IAN. I hope you really enjoyed this video. And if you like health and wellness content like this, feel free to like this video and to subscribe to our YouTube channel. You can also come connect with us over on Instagram. We'd love to be friends with you there. Hope to see you around soon.